In this video, we're going to go over some pelvic stabilizing exercises and some exercises to help strengthen the core, which might seem like they have nothing to do with the core, but I promise you they are still working the core in a safe and effective way, especially if you have low back pain right now. What you will need for today, best case scenario, if you have all of these, if you don't have any of them, or if you only have a few of the items, don't worry. We will work with what you have. So you want to try to have a foam roller with you. So the full length one is a lot better so that you can lie right down on it from the tailbone to the head. Something to support your head. So I have a little head cushion, but you can use a pillow, you can use a rolled up towel, you can use a sock, something that's just going to support your head when you're lying down on your back. Yoga block. Multiple use. You can sit up on it to help relax the hip flexors. It helps to elevate you off the floor. It will also be used between the knees to help stabilize the inner thighs, and it will also be used underneath the feet at certain points as well. Again, if you don't have it, not a huge deal. Fitness circle or something similar. Okay, so this is the Merrithew brand, but it does not matter what kind you have. Also optional. The yoga block can stand in very well for the fitness circle. And finally, if you have it, TheraBand, Flex Band, Resistance Band, something that will give you a little bit of tension through the exercises. Okay, again, we only use it for a few exercises, so it's not super important that you have it. It's just a nice to have. Okay, so we'll set these things out of the way. And step one will be to get relaxed on your back with nothing underneath your head. And we're going to go right back with the legs extended as well. So we're going to relax the head, the shoulders, the legs out nice and straight. Now we really want to just tune into the breath and start to let the body feel heavy against the floor. Okay, a lot of the times that we can experience pain and tension. I mean, our body is on guard. It's protecting us from causing more damage or causing more pain. And so it's just really nice sometimes, a nice regroup for the body, relaxing the nervous system to take some nice deep breaths. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a little scan of the body, kind of a little before and after shot here. So just take note of where the weight of your head is on the floor. Does the weight of your head feel centered from the bridge of your nose straight down, or is it a little bit high? And around the shoulder blades, do they feel that they're even on the floor? Or again, does it feel a little bit higher above the shoulder blades, or does it feel a little bit low? Around the diaphragm, so right connecting to about the middle of the ribs, does that part of your back feel like it's elevated off of the floor, right? Do you feel more of an arch in the spine, right from, say, the bra line area all the way down towards the hips? Or does that part of the mid back feel nice and heavy against the floor? Checking in around the pelvis. Does your pelvis, the tailbones and sacrum, does it feel heavy on the mat? Do you feel like there's more bone touching the floor? Or do you feel like there's a little bit more of the glute muscle or your butt cheeks touching the floor? Okay, so just take note of what you can feel. Maybe it's equal. And the backs of the legs. Do you feel that they're soft along the floor, or is there a little bit of a gap? And then tuning into the ankles. Do you feel like you're really turning your feet out and you're almost on the outsides of your ankles? Or were you inwards or parallel? Let's say the ideal position for this sort of resting position is about 10 to the hour and 10 past the hour. And now just divide the body into right and left, and just notice if you're feeling more heavy on one side of the body or the other, and maybe it's only in certain parts. Okay, so it's just a nice little tune in Just coming acquainted with how your body is feeling today. We're going to bring the foam roller over and we're going to get right up on top of the roller. So I'm going to sit right up on top of it and then I'm going to gently lower myself back down. You want to make sure that your head is supported on the roller. Okay, we're going to keep the knees bent. Arms are relaxed by your side. Your elbows are touching the floor, your forearms are down, and that's going to help support you. We're going to take a few deep breaths here, inhaling through the nose, and a strong exhale through the mouth. If you're noticing your body shift side to side, just allow that to happen. Your body is, quite literally like recalibrating. Inhale. And exhale. Breathing in through the sides of the ribs. Taking tension out of the neck and the shoulders. And your exhale is a nice strong exhale through the mouth. And we indirectly engage the lower abdominal region called the transverse abdominis. One more time. And exhale, release. All right, we're going to go into some pelvic tilts or your imprint and release. Keep your feet firm on the floor, knees in line with your hips, ankles in line with your hips as well. Use the exhale to bring that lower back gently towards the roller. If you don't have a roller, I should have described at the very beginning that you can just lie on the floor and do this same exercise, okay? So your feet firm on the floor, you're tilting that pelvis back, you're going to come back to neutral, okay? It's nice for feedback if you keep your hands on the hips, imprinting that spine or tilting the pelvis gently towards you. And you want to isolate this muscle into the abdominals, the obliques on either side. You're shortening that distance between the ribs and the hips. You're trying your best not to push into your feet or squeeze your glutes. It might take a few just to, differentiate those movements. But ultimately, you're working with the abdominals here. Release. We're going to do one more where you just tilt and release. I'm going to extend my left leg, or depending on which way you're going, but extend one leg long on the mat, and I'm going to roll off on that same side. Okay, I'm going to get the roller out of the way, and then I'm just going to lie back down on the floor there for a minute. And just really quick, take a note of how you felt before you got on the roller and how your body is feeling now against the floor. Okay, some of the areas that you notice that were more tense, do they feel a little bit more relaxed? All right. So we're going to bend the knees. I'm just going to get this roller out of the way a little bit here. Bending the knees, feet firm on the floor. I'm going to bring something underneath my head now. So I've got my cushion, but it can be a small pillow. You don't want something too high that you're, creating a constriction in the front of the throat, but you want something that's going to support you, that you're not creating tension in the front of the throat. So you're not throwing your head back. All right, we're going to bring the feet together, knees together. We're going to do a nice pelvic stabilizing exercise called knee drops. Simple but effective, and you want to just tune into how you're moving as opposed to like really going full force with it. I'm going to start with my left leg closest to you, and I'm just going to very gently drop that knee open. I say drop, but I should say it's a release. My goal is to keep that right side steady. So that right hip is pinned down. So my left knee does not get to go very far. If I drop it further out, my right hip pulls off and I'll get some tension in my back, which I do not need. So it's not about showing off and how far you can go down. you're trying to keep that opposite side steady. I'm going on to the right side. I'm going to gently open that knee, and my goal is to keep now the left side pinned down. So I don't really go very far, but that's fine because my goal is to keep the opposite side down. Using my breath, I'll bring that leg back in. Onto the left side again. I'm going to use the inhale to release that leg, the knee towards the floor, but then my right hip is staying in contact with the floor. So sometimes you have to adjust. You go too far, you have to bring it back up, push that right hip down. Use the exhale to bring your leg back up. Inhale, release the right side. So your foot is also coming off of the floor here. You're rolling onto the outside of your foot. So don't think that it has to stay pinned down either. See, I need to adjust that left hip again. I'll bring that right side up a bit more and closing it down. We're going to repeat that just one more time on each side. You also want to keep an eye on that side that should be steady, the knee, because it can do all kinds of wonky things. Stabilize, pull it back up. Check to make sure you're still in your neutral position. That can help a lot as well. It's not an imprint. Still have a little bit of a gap between you and the mat in that low back region. Pulling it back up. Wonderful. After the knee drop, we're going to go into a squat position. So we're going to come up to standing. Okay. Find your way up to standing however is comfortable for you. And my upper body will kind of get lost there, but you can at least see my hips, my feet, my knees most importantly here. So for today, the squat is going to be more in a Pilates style with the heels underneath the hip points. The toes are pointing forward. Nice, easy squat. I'm actually going to turn to the side. You can see a little bit more about what's going on. We're going to bring the bum back, and you want your shins to be parallel as best as you can here, okay? And you actually don't have to go too far down. You're going to press into your feet and come back up. We're going to take that inhale as you come down. I'm going to bring my ribs back here a little bit. Camera is helpful to help me see what the heck is going on. Pressing through the feet to come back up. Now, what you don't want to see, we're going to do that up to 10 times, but you guys, you got 2 under your belt so far. When you bring your knees forward, make sure the knees don't collapse in and pay attention to see if they flare out. Sometimes it can be the whole time, they can be really turning out, or they can kind of go in and out as you're moving around here, like as an example here, okay? Now, if you are having difficulty keeping those knees tracking over the second toe, so as you come down, you should be tracking and coming back up. You can use that yoga block, squeeze it between the thighs, or you can use that fitness circle and place that between the, probably between the ankles is best as well. Okay, so we're going to squat down here and press up. Okay, down, almost like you're going to sit back in a chair, but it's more important to be going back than it is, to just be coming down and letting those knees fall forward. Okay, so knees stay as vertical to the floor as you can. Press back and up. Let's do 4 more. Now remember, I did say 10, but Pilates instructors have a hard time counting. Good. So if you've done your 10 already, you can just take a break. I think we've got 1 more here for me anyway. Down and pressing up. Good. So after the squats, we are going to come down onto all fours, and you're going to come into a cat stretch. So onto the knees, hands underneath the shoulders. Okay, we're going to start with a nice little mobilization of the spine. Palms are pressing down. You also want to rotate these elbow creases forward. It's going to help to stabilize and open up the shoulders. So inhale to prepare. You're starting off in neutral. Let that tailbone go. I already caught myself tucked underneath there. You're going to release an exhale as you tuck the pelvis under, drop the head, and feel that upper back reaching up towards the ceiling. Inhale here in this flexed position. And then exhale, start from the tailbone, lengthen through the low back, the mid back, and we're only coming to neutral, so we're not extending through the spine. We're just coming back into that like tabletop position. Inhale, exhale, round, lifting that upper back towards the ceiling, tucking that pelvis underneath so you're feeling a little bit more of a stretch and opening through that low back. Inhale in here. And use the exhale. Press that tailbone away, lengthen through the low back, unravel through the spine, and you're looking back down at the mat. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, round through the spine. I started from the low back. Curl through the lumbar, mid and upper, relaxing the head. You're stabilizing through the hands, but you don't want to necessarily push too much into them because you'll separate the shoulder blades. Inhale, and that'll just create the illusion that you're rounding your spine, but you are not. Use that exhale to release through the tailbone back to your neutral. Take a pause here, press your bum towards your heels, but try to stay in this neutral position, okay? So we're just being more mindful of any low back tension. This series is meant to help to strengthen the low back, so we don't want to put it in any more compromised positions. Relax those wrists as well if you feel that you need to. We're going to jump right back into all fours, and you're going to tuck the toes underneath you. We're going to fire up those lower abdominals. With the toes tucked under, stay in your neutral. When you exhale, you're going to press into the feet. You're going to lift your knees just off the floor. See how small that was? Inhale, stay, and exhale to lower back down. So nothing truly changes through that back. And then we're going to inhale, exhale, lift the knees off again. So I'm stabilizing with my hands. My back stays neutral, holding on the inhale, and exhale to lower down. If this is still uncomfortable for you, if you're not able to do it, the mind and the muscle can make a big difference. So we say do it like as if you're doing it. So you're going to inhale here. If you're lifting your knees off, you are going to exhale, lift those knees off. But if you are not able to, you're still tuning into those muscles. You're taking that strong exhale. You're pressing into the feet, but maybe the knees don't come up. That's okay. Don't force yourself. Just put the mind in the muscles. Lowering back down. Last one. Inhale. Exhale to lift. Inhale to stay. And exhale to lower down. Press yourself back into that modified version of like a shell stretch here, or a child's pose if you're familiar with it in yoga. And relax through those shoulders as well. Good. So bringing that foam roller around this time, you're going to place your upper back against the roller. So you might scoot your bum forward. You're going to bring yourself down so the mid back is on the roller. Your feet are going to be firm on the floor. In this position, you don't want to have your pelvis too far forward or tucked back. You're sort of in this perfect neutral position. You're already going to feel a little bit of work just to stay in this position here. We're going to have the hands resting by our side, feet firm on the floor. If you notice already that your legs are a little bit wobbly, they're not cooperating, grab one of those yoga blocks or the fitness circle, squeeze the knees together. Okay, optional. You don't need it, but if you're feeling you have a little bit of instability, it helps. Anyway, let's get moving here. So we're going to start by pumping the arms at your side. So we're lifting up the shoulder from the shoulders and we're pumping. We're inhaling for a count of 5 and a strong exhale for 5. In and out. Goal is to that the roller gives you a little bit of feedback, so you want to try and keep your body steady as you're pumping the arms. One more set like this. Great. Relax the arms. Maybe place the hands behind your head and give yourself a little bit of an extension. Very gently, okay? So it's not the head being thrown back. You're using your hands to support your head. Okay, we're going to jump right back into that for the second set. So we're bringing the hands back down by your side. Find that imprint slash like almost imprint, mostly neutral position here. And then we're going to be pressing into the feet and lifting the hips up as we pump the arms. So as you exhale, we're going to lift the hips up. Inhale to lower down. Right away, you're going right back up. If this is not comfortable, you're pressing into your feet, your knees are going over your toes, then just stick with the arm pumps. Keep going up and down. Good. One more, no, 2 more times. My apologies. Sorry to get you excited there. And lift and lower down. Hands behind the head this time. And if you can, use your abdominals to help you come up or use your hands to help you push up. Let your body flex forward and kind of go into this nice round back position with the shoulders relaxed. Maybe gently, turn the head. No and yes. Kind of like I'm not really sure. Gently rolling back up through the spine. Wonderful. Moving on to some of the exercises with the TheraBand as an option. Okay, I'm going to place the roller out of the way. Take your TheraBand or the somewhat version that you have and something that's going to go underneath your head. Okay. I'm going to relax down on my back. I'm going to place the band around the ball of my foot. I want to make sure I got some even band on either side. My left foot is going to stay down. The foot is going to stay firm on the floor. The knee is going to be bent. My pelvis and spine are in neutral. I'm going to pull my elbows down against the floor. So I'm holding this resistance the whole time. As you exhale, you're going to press firmly into the band and extend that right leg. Inhale, bend. So it starts off in this kind of tabletop position. Exhale, you extend. You want to find some consistent pressure through the band as you're pressing out. Sometimes what can happen is you'll kind of really power it out there and then you lock your knee. So I want you to just be mindful that you're feeling this consistent pressure. What you're also noticing is that you are keeping that pelvis stabilized. Okay, and press. And then we'll do one more like this. Okay. Now, what I can also demonstrate is with the yoga block. Now, if you were finding a little bit of instability just on that opposite side, trying to keep it down, what I would recommend is that you place a yoga block underneath that foot, even a stack of books. Okay. And that then helps to stabilize the pelvis a little bit more. Part 2 with the band here is a lift and lower exercise. So we're going to start with the leg just about in line with the knee. And then I'm going to lift up towards the ceiling on an inhale. And exhale, I'm going to push down. In both directions, you want to be mindful of what the low back is doing. So I do not want to lift my leg so high that I tilt back into my back. Do you see what the difference is? Yes, my leg went higher, but that compromised my low back. So I want to access just the length of the hamstring here, which means I do not get very much flexibility. So don't worry about that. Exhale to push down. you're pressing down and finding that you're using the glutes and the hip extensors here, also your hamstrings. We're going to do 2 more here. Press. Inhale to lift. Last one. Exhale to press down. Hug that knee in. We're going to switch the yoga block under the foot. Remember, you don't necessarily need it as long as you can feel that you're nice and stable. Sometimes it's also easier to wrap that band around the foot while you're up and then coming all the way back down. Wrapping that band around your hands if you need that extra resistance. And we're going to start by bending the knee in towards the chest. That's your start position. Roughly a tabletop. Pelvis is in neutral. Exhale, consistent pressure all the way out. Lengthen the leg and engage the quad. Inhale to bend. Exhale to press. Inhale to bend. Exhale, pressing out. And again, you're keeping an eye on, that is that leg going in a straight line out, or does it kind of weave in and out a little bit? All good things to notice. And we're going to do 2 more on this side. Press. Good. So you're fully extending that leg, not compromising your low back, okay? Press. I'm going to hold this leg out here. Inhale as we go up towards the ceiling. Exhale to press down. Remember, in the down, you don't want to go so far down that your pelvis tilts out of alignment either. You want to stay neutral. Inhale. There goes my back. Exhale, press. So with the band, it can be a little bit challenging to point the toe, but if you can, then point the toe or keep the foot nice and flexed. You'll find more length in the hamstring here. It's a little bit more of a natural position for how we move around in life. Let's do 2 more. Great. So we'll bend that knee. We'll take the band away. And then we're going to come up to a kneeling position. And we're going to use the fitness circle. If you do not have the fitness circle, do not worry. I'll show you what we're going to be doing with it, and then you'll be able to find maybe something else that will be helpful. So you're going to be placing it just underneath the bra line there, right along the ribs. You're going to wrap your hands around the circle, pressing the handle there into the sternum. So you can do this with like a ball. You can do it just with your hands as well. That's totally fine. The goal here is to create some rotation between the torso and the hips. So your hips are going to stay facing forward. Your upper body is going to do the rotation. Your torso, the rib cage is going to rotate over. So I'm going to take an exhale and rotate. I'm going to the left, but my hips are going to stay forward. So it might even be a little bit of work just to press those glutes forward to keep the hips forward. Inhaling, coming back to the center. Then I'm going to exhale to rotate. Inhale back to the center. Double check, because I'm guilty of it. As you're rotating, you're not throwing. This gives you more range of motion, but it is not ideal. So you're not throwing those rib cages forward, and you're not creating more tension in the back. So you actually want to bring the ribs down. This is good for feedback. You keep that down. It feels like you're slouching, but I promise, you're not. I'm going to add that rotation. I'm going to the right on an exhale. Inhale, center. Exhale. Inhale, center. Keep going here. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale to rotate. Inhale, center. 2 more times. Rotate and center. So we're creating different movements of the spine, helping to break up tension as well there. So we're going to take that fitness circle. I'm going to place that out of the way. After our side twist, we're going to do a little bit of a hamstring stretch, okay? if you have something that you can stretch the hamstrings with when you're on your back, so like a yoga strap or a belt or a towel, something like that, that is great. If you do not, I will show you another version here. So without the band, you're going to hug your knee in towards your chest and you're going to wrap your forearms around the back of the leg. Okay. So with this version here, you're bringing that knee in towards the chest and you're just creating a little bit of that stretch there on the hamstring. Okay. So you'll hang out there. And then when it feels like you're ready to move on, okay, just listen to your body. Don't feel like you have to rush anything. Then you're going to bring your hands on top of the shin and then hug that like create less of a gap there between the behind the knee. So you're going to bring that heel down. What I'm going to do with the strap is bring it around the ball of my foot. And I know like we just used the TheraBand for this, but something that's now more has more tension without that give is better. So you're going back into that neutral pelvis, neutral spine. You're flexing through the foot. You're reaching that heel away, and now you get to lift it up. Same rules apply as that TheraBand. I would rather you keep the leg straight than have the knee bend and get all the way up here. That is not going to do you any favors. And also in this position, your toes and your knees are facing you, right? So make sure there's no turn out or turn in. Really stretching through the back of the leg. You're creating an active stretch because you're also stretching, like reaching that heel away up towards the ceiling. You're like, if you have like some tiles on the ceiling, you're trying to push one of them with your heel. Inhale and exhale here for 2 more breaths. So there's, you're using the strap to help you hold the weight of the leg, but there's an active, engagement there through the back of the leg as well. These are really great to take tension away from the low back, okay? Because if you've got tight hamstrings, that's pulling on your pelvis, and then your back has to compensate from the top half. Let's bend this knee. Now remember, if you're going on to then doing this bent knee, you're starting at the back of the thigh, and then you're holding onto the shin. Strap around the ball of the foot. Lengthening through that leg. Check on that pelvis because you might have already tucked yourself back there. Nice and heavy through the sacrum. Reaching that heel away, flexing through the ball of the foot. Actively, so again, active through that heel, nice and long. You're going to feel your hamstring like lengthening even in this position. Try to keep your elbows bent and hugging against the floor as much as you can so your shoulders are relaxed, okay? And just keep, using that band to help you nudge that leg a little bit higher, but if you get into that low back, you got to come back out of it. Couple breaths in and out. Really try to take any tension out of your neck and shoulders as well, okay? So if you feel like you're up here and you're holding it, please come back and relax. We'll do 1 more breath. And we'll bring that knee in and take the strap out of the way. Great. So on to my favorite little exercise here. On your side, it's nice to have something to support your head. Okay, my preference, I've got a little big cushion here. It can be a pillow. It can be, again, a rolled up towel. If you do not have something, or you want to be rebellious, then you're going to place your hand underneath your head, okay? Or you're going to rest your head on your arm. Excellent. So moving into one of my favorites here. So it's a side leg lift and lower, but don't jump ahead of me yet because it's a little bit different than what you might be used to. So I'm going to use my top hand here to stabilize. My legs are out long, and you can already kind of notice, so my top leg is shorter than my bottom leg, okay? Now what I want to do is just for a little bit of emphasis, you're going to place that hand on the hip, and I want you to press that hip down so your leg is now in line with the other one. See how cool that is? Now underneath, you might have felt a little bit of a lift, but I don't want you to feel like it's a strain. Because you engaged and pushed down here, it should be a natural lift underneath, and now your obliques are turned on a little bit as well. Holding that length, now you're going to lift and lower. So flex the foot, toe and knee towards the front, up and down. Now you only want to go as high as you can maintain that you've got this nice flat piece here and you're not closing it too much. So if I go higher, I collapse everything. Okay? Small and steady. Flexing and lifting there. Great. We're going to go up to 10. So I'm going to do like 4 more, but maybe you're ahead of me there. Keep reaching. So my foot kind of pulled back there. There's a lot of things to think about. I think I've got one more. Glutes are on here big time. Good. So then we're going to change over to the other side. So these are really great stabilizing exercises for the glutes and the hips. The better foundation you have when you're walking around day to day in the hips and the glutes, then your low back can relax a little bit. It doesn't feel like it has to work as hard or to even help you do some of those motions, because right now things might be feeling a little bit stiff and it's traveling with your lower body. All right, so checking in on that top leg, a little bit shorter than the bottom. Press that hip away so you're lengthening through the torso, and now both of the hips are even. Stabilizing with the top hand if you'd like. Use the exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. There's an active reaching of that heel away, just like when we were in that hamstring stretch. You're reaching that heel towards the ceiling. This time, you're reaching it towards the wall. Good. Remember, not too high, so you don't want to change the definition of the waist. I'm going to do 5 more. I don't know whether that'll be 10, but 3, 2, keep checking on that. 1. Great. And one side might feel different than the other. One side you might have felt nothing, and then the opposite side might have been like, oh my God, I definitely felt it. So that's what we're going to finish with for today. So all of those exercises are meant to help you stabilize the pelvis and support the low back. We're mobilizing the spine while we're creating some nice strength around the core as well. Hope you found it helpful. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to follow up with me. And I hope to see you again soon.